On today's episode, we're talking with Nigel McCulloch, who takes us through his pathway into film and television. Starting out in radio comedy, Nigel's career has evolved into long-running TV formats, scripted work, documentaries, and international development. And he shares behind-the-scenes stories from shows like Off the Wire, 7 Days, Hounds, Bigger, Better, Faster, Stronger, and the popular YouTube series Hip Hop Stand Up, along with lessons on pitching, funding, music rights, development, rejection, and his excitement on the popularity of microdramas and what this could mean for the changing screen landscape. Nigel is sharing with us today a really detailed look at the creative and business realities of making screen work in little old Aotearoa. Welcome to the podcast, Nigel McCulloch.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Firstly, I wanted to ask about what made you want to go into film and television. Have you always wanted to be in film and television?
Yeah, I have. When I was young, I was really into comedy. Mm-hmm. So comedy films and comedy television, stand-up comedy, and also my father had a video business, and it was like a delivery video business, VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And all the VHS tapes were in our house, and he would take them, put them in his car and drive them around. I grew up in Rotorua, and he'd take them around to the small regions like Murupara around Rotorua and take them, because they didn't have video stores, take them the videos.
That sounds like the start of Netflix, your origin story there.
That's right.
Wow,
on a much smaller level.
Yeah.
And so I had all of these movies in my house that I could just go down and choose from, and I just really got into comedy. And so I was really, and I would always like write stuff and make stuff with like little cameras that we had, but I didn't really, because it was Rotorua and New Zealand, I didn't really understand that you could be in film or television. Like it wasn't really a thing, but it was always my passion, something that I really loved. And then when I was in high school, I went ending high school and going on to the next bit, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So they had a job counsellor, is that what they're called?
Yeah, careers counsellor.
Careers counsellor. So we went and visited them, and she told me about this communications course, which sort of focused on media. So it was like radio and television, and that automatically, to me, like stood out as something that I wanted to do. Yeah. I didn't realise anything like that existed because I was very sheltered in that regard.
Yeah.
I just kind of assumed you go to university and, I don't know, do some type of BA.
Yeah.
But then she showed me this course, and I was like, that's definitely what I want to do. So that's kind of the step I took.
Yeah, and that's where the communications degree was, where you met your co-founders Ryan Hutchings and Jared Holt.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We were we actually all majored in radio together. So
right.
So it's a 3-year course, and at the end of the second year you choose a major. And we all ended up in radio together, and just became great friends, and spent that whole year together. But then once we finished, we all went off in our separate directions and did different jobs and stuff. And I got a job working at a television company, and I was making sports television.
Okay.
And then after maybe a year and a half, we all obviously stayed in touch, and then decided that we wanted to start our own thing. So we quit our jobs and moved to a farm up in Matakana.
Wow.
And then tried to start a business.
Yeah. Was that a scary decision to just quit your jobs, and you didn't want to do it as a side hustle to start with, or is that not really possible?
No, it wasn't that scary because we were quite young.
Yeah.
So we were in our 20s. And so we had no attachments.
Yeah.
And so it was just a fun thing to do.
Was that sort of bravery or naivety, do you think, at the time?
I think it was bravery, to be honest. I'm a pretty brave guy. So I think probably naivety on the other two, but me, I was brave. But it was also like an adventure. Like it was the whole reason we moved to a farm, like we could have done it at our homes in Auckland. But the reason we moved to a farm was to be away from everything and to really focus on it and to make it an adventure and make it a fun thing to do.
And how many office spaces have you had over the years?
Oh, good question. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our farmhouse in Matakana was the first one.
Yeah.
Obviously, and it was cold and damp, and we had a pet pig.
Oh.
Which is probably still the highlight of offices, having a pet pig walk around. And then we eventually needed to move back to Auckland because we had some productions here, and we did start doing productions when we were in Matakana, but it was a big haul.
Yeah.
We'd have to drive in and out.
Yeah, was that radio productions or were you straight into TV?
Yeah, so because we majored in radio, all three of us, when we started, we decided to focus on the radio side of things.
Yeah.
Because it was what we knew and what we'd studied. So we pitched a whole bunch of very poor ideas to RNZ, and we sent them a massive big document. And what we'd done is put all of our ideas into this one big document. It was probably 100 pages long.
Right.
And there were about 6 ideas. And what we did, which was very clever, was we colour-coded each idea. So each idea was printed out on pink or blue or yellow or green paper, and it was all in this one massive booklet. And we sent it to them and went, hey, guys, what do you think about these ideas? And then we never heard back anything. We're like, they're so rude. I can't believe they didn't even get back to us. And then we got a call from our radio tutor maybe 1 month later. And he said, did you guys send some stuff to Radio New Zealand? And we're like, yes, but they never got back to us. And it's like, yeah, you didn't put any contact details on the document. So we sent them all of these ideas, and they had no idea who it had come from or how to get in touch with us.
Oh, no.
And luckily, they said this feels like the work of some students. And we went to our radio tutor. I think I know who that is, because when we set up the company, we went and talked to our radio tutor about just to get some ideas and things to think about. So luckily, they got in touch with us, and they didn't like any of those ideas, but we did eventually start a show with them.
Was that Off the Wire? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, because I read a Scoop article where they say you're representing a new era in national radio programming.
Yeah.
So was that quite fresh and bold, that sort of idea?
Very much. Yeah. It was certainly around the time. What made it difficult for us when we started is we all really love comedy.
Yeah.
And that was what we wanted to focus on. So our first radio show was Off the Wire, and we were really lucky because we sent in that massive proposal, and they didn't like any of those ideas, but there was a producer that they had brought in from the BBC, and he looked at all of this stuff and said, okay, that's not going to work, but I really like the way you're thinking, what you're doing.
Saw the potential.
Nice. And he said, in Britain, a staple on both television and radio is a quiz show. There's a comedy quiz show. Yep. This feels like something you guys could do. And so we came up with a comedy quiz show called Off the Wire. And a big part, I suppose, of comedy is that idea that it pushes boundaries and, goes places that often other shows, especially on Radio New Zealand, don't.
Yeah.
And that's certainly what happened here, because it was populated with comedians talking about the news, talking about people, making fun of everything that was going on at that time, and that just wasn't what was on Radio New Zealand at the time. It was very much news, and I suppose even to this day a little bit. And it was, I think, the only show that every week had to go to their lawyer to listen to make sure everything was all right, and often. The perspectives were quite skewed as well from the legal team, because they never really dealt with content like that before.
Right.
We had a joke where they were talking about being in bed with Helen Clark, and the lawyer was like, you can't have that joke. We're like, why not? And he's like, well, it's clearly about buggery. I don't think it's about
Only
buggery.
If that's where your mind's going,
Yeah, exactly. So there was all of those aspects that we had to deal with, but they truly loved it.
Yeah.
Because it was doing something that was very different for them, and we we also got to tour it around the country. So we
cool.
went with various RNZ programs to different places around the country and did live shows all around.
Yeah.
Like even Aotearoa, tiny places around the country. It was great.
That's cool.
And then we kind of learned, because we were working with comedians as well, who at that stage there was not a lot of comedy around at all.
Yeah.
And we kind of learned that the comedians, they're the ones out on the coalface talking to New Zealanders, knowing what they find funny.
Yeah.
And it was very apparent when we started doing that show that was the case. Like, I think they really connected the comedy and the public, because before then it was, it was a kind of like sketch shows that you didn't have that instant connection, and so having this live audience and seeing the comedians connect in that way I think it was quite revelatory.
Yeah, is that where you met a lot of people for the 7 days show that eventuated down the track?
Yeah, absolutely. It's how we set everything up for 7 days. So essentially that show then became 7 days to quite a long time later. And all of our process, all of our writing, even the way we formatted scripts, all of that carried over into the way we ended up producing 7 days. And a lot of the people that were on that, Jeremy Corbett, for example, was a mainstay on Off the Wire, and then did the pilot for 7 days, and then obviously eventually ended up as the host. John Bridges was on Off the Wire most weeks, and he ended up producing 7 days with us. So there's a lot of contacts, and even behind the scenes, talking to people who were in the comedy industry who we would still talk to today. Yeah.
And what would you say is your role in the Downlow Concept? Like, what is your job title?
Producer, probably. Yeah. So I mainly focus on developing projects for here and international, and pitching them and trying to get them financed. Yeah.
And has your role changed over time? Has that always been the hat that you wore, or?
No, it changed.
Yeah?
Yeah, when we first started out, we were all into comedy. We're all writers. And so our main focus was to write comedy. But like I was saying before, comedy wasn't really, it wasn't very well established or recognised. There weren't a lot of outlets to the point where the Comedy Guild gave RNZ the Comedy Award for the most supportive broadcaster, because they had Off the Wire on it. That there was not much else on. There were shows like Game of Two Halves. It's a original iteration. That was kind of what comedy was, and there were no real comedians on that except for Mike King. But there was more sports stars, and and there was canned laughter.
Yeah.
So it was a little different to what was sort of coming afterwards. And so because of that, we were very focused on wanting to do comedy and write comedy and make comedy. And the only way we saw to be able to do it was to start our own production company, because no one else was making it, really. So it wasn't like we could be comedy writers and go and shop ourselves up to the production company who was making the next comedy. Just couldn't work like that. And so by starting the company, we made little radio plays, like sketch comedy things with storylines that would run throughout the week. So we got our writing chops up, and that was kind of our focus for a long time, was to be the writers and directors of things that we made with our production company. The production company was kind of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And I think that limited us a lot for a long time, because there was no one focused on the business side of things.
Right.
We were all just focused. So that's where we started, and eventually realised that we did a scripted TV series, which is a big production, and we wrote it, we directed it, I edited it, so we're very full on into that. But then out the other side, we realised all of our eggs had gone into that basket, and we had nothing for a long time, and we had to grease the wheels again and quickly get up to speed. So, so that's when we kind of figured out that we needed to change the way we looked at things.
Right. And so what hats are the other co-owners wearing while you're producing?
So, I mean, we do dip in and out of all of these roles, but they are more focused on international scripted.
Right.
So, for example, we have a script with AMC in the States at the moment, cool. And another project which is an international co-production with a British company that's with an American actor attached that's being pitched around. So their focus is building that slate and those projects to go internationally, while my ones, while they have an international outlook, are more sort of local and...
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a big difference between pitching in New Zealand versus pitching internationally?
Yeah, yes and no. It kind of varies from each market. So Australia, and also the type of project you're pitching, like if you're pitching a factual project versus a scripted project, there are differences. The biggest difference is between here and America. So as an example, we've sold scripts as writers to FX, for example. Mm-hmm. And to do that, we have to put together a big pitch where we essentially perform for 4 or 5 people in the room, and we have to talk through everything. And we have a script, literally have a script. We have some visuals that we can show them, and then we go through and we say the script word by word, word for word. Yeah. Jokes included, and we're lucky because there's 3 of us, so we can be in the room and laugh at each other's scripted jokes. But that is very performative, and it's very, very granular in the way that you do it. You talk about the themes, you talk about what happens in the first episode, you talk about all the characters, you talk about you talk very little about the finance or the production process. It's changing slightly because of the way money is working at the moment around the world, but that's very performative, and very detailed in the way you pitch it. Whereas here, you would have a meeting or even a phone call with a commissioner, talk them through the overall idea, and the commissioner might say, "Oh, I've got something like that," or "Oh, we're not really focused in that area," or "It sounds like it's too broad or too specific," or they'll give you feedback like that, and then you'll essentially give them a short treatment, and from that point you'll start moving into development and script writing and that type of stuff.
Yeah. And then how big is your team these days? Do you have a team outside of the 3 of you, or do you only hire on project basis?
We shrink and grow depending on project to project, but there's sort of like 5 of us that are basically working all the time together, and some of that is most of that, the reason there are 5 of us is the development side of things, which is really big. It's really important. That's one of those things that we learned early on. Well, maybe not early enough, but that development needs to be that focus. You always have to have all of these ideas working and moving, and so that's the reason we sort of have the 5 of us.
And I mean, if you don't mind me asking, and feel free to not answer if you don't want to answer, but if you don't mind me asking, how do you pay yourself? So when you, on a per project basis, I imagine you bring people on fixed term for the project, but being that there's you 3 or 5 full time, do you need to have that slush fund so you can pay yourself a salary, or do you get paid per project as well, and you just sort of go through those downtimes?
You can do it
a bit more difficult.
Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do it that we draw a salary, and then the profits made from project to project go into the slush fund. I wish it was a slush fund. It's not quite a slush fund, but and then we just draw draw a salary weekly. We
Right.
found that it was much easier for us to organise our lives
Yeah.
around. But many people do the other way, the project to project.
Yeah.
The hard thing about being a producer is that ostensibly your job is to make sure a job is done on time and to budget.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very small part of what a producer actually does. But what that means is most people you're like the backstop. Your money is the backstop. So if you go over budget, then that comes from your end. It will come out of the producer's fee.
Yeah.
Which
Can't not
means
pay people.
yeah, that's right. Which means that the producer doesn't get paid until the very end, after everyone else.
You get what's left.
You get your fee,
Yeah.
but much further down, and it's
Yeah.
a really hard way to, especially run a business, not alone, let alone your life. So we kind of have figured it out that we can get paid a weekly salary.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I imagine being a producer, there's a lot of stress involved, when difficulties arise, money problems, that sort of thing. How do you make sure that your stress doesn't rub off on the rest of the production, the rest of the team?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Sometimes stress rubbing off is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because people do need to realise that things need to change or something needs to happen. I think probably knowing when you're going into projects that something will happen.
Yeah.
It will always there's something will always happen. Doesn't matter how much money you've got, something will go wrong.
Yeah.
So you kind of get used to the fact that that is a big part of the job, is dealing with things that go wrong or might not happen the way you wanted them to happen or thought they would happen. And so I think you just learn how to deal with the stress and those moments, and hopefully be able to talk to the people you're working with and sort it out.
Do you have to factor that into the budget?
Yeah, you
Things
have a
going
contingency
wrong?
in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually you'll have a percentage of the budget will be a little pot that you can dip into if things go wrong or go over, because budget is very much a living and breathing thing when you're in a production, because like I say, things will pop up, or if you're doing a documentary, for example, something will happen and you'll say, I have to go and get that. We have to film that for the documentary. It's perfect. So you always need to be able to shift things around and work with it. And so you have the contingency in case things go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what does it feel like, especially in the early days when you actually see the stuff that you created up on screen or out in the wild,
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it and I hate it. I like our films, when you're watching them with an audience, this is the most awkward I feel in my life, because I always see something and go, oh, that's so bad, or we could have done that better, or it's an awful shot, or and then a piece of a joke will come up or something and people won't laugh. Oh no, I knew that wasn't funny. Why did we put it in? I shouldn't have done it. But
sometimes people are laughing in their mind, it's not everything's laugh out loud funny.
Sure, yeah. I can't tell myself that at the moment. But then, other when people tell you that they really like it, or there was certainly a moment after we'd started 7 Days when it started to pick up steam, and that was really gratifying because, like I said, comedy wasn't really well represented at all in any form of media in New Zealand at that time. When we started the show, the comedians were doing interviews, and every single interview was why can't New Zealanders do comedy? Why aren't we funny? And that was kind of the main thought at that time, was that we just weren't funny. We weren't as good as Britain. We weren't funny people. We didn't have that comedy sensibility.
Oh.
And so when 7 Days started to become popular and people started seeing these comedians who we knew were funny, and we knew New Zealanders found them funny as well, there was just that remove, then that was, things like that are always great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you get the live audiences? Like, in the beginning, I mean, was it easy to fill out? Because people pay to go and see it now, don't they?
They if you come to the taping of the show, that's free. But there's, I think, literally a year-long waiting list to get in. But then, so when we started Off the Wire, for example, the radio version, that was one of the worst things to try and organise, because we also, as a country, weren't used to being a studio audience. There wasn't many things where you would go and be, especially for comedy, be a studio audience. So just letting people know that there's this weird Radio New Zealand show doing comedy. Yeah. Do you want to come and watch it? That was so hard. And so often we would have, because we would record it sometimes at the Classic, for example, comedy club, and we would have 10 people in the audience, and it would be me sitting at the back going, ha, just trying to laugh as loudly as possible. So that was really hard early on. But as it built, even on RNZ, as it built up steam, the listeners on Radio New Zealand would come along. They'd learn about it and come along. And that's just what happened with 7 Days as well. Yeah,
because I imagine with studio audiences, you get a lot of people who want to be on screen, like actors and extras and people who want to... But with a radio show, probably not so much, right?
No, the studio audience are genuinely there because they want to see a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
because they do tours now, right? Well, not at the moment maybe, but we buy tickets to
we're in the process of doing another tour at the moment.
Yeah,
and so that's without no cameras. That's just a live event, and that came about because people would come to these records.
Yeah,
and they, we record for quite a long time, 2.5 to 3 hours sometimes, especially in those early days, and the audience would leave, and I would be saying, "I'm so sorry that took so long," and they're like, "That was the best. I just loved it. Every minute of it, I loved it." I was like, "You were sitting there for 3 hours." And so we thought about that, and then doing it in the live situation, and it really translates really well, because it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And so we have comedians do stand up for the first half, and then they do the 7 days in the second half, and it's a really great show.
Well, it's great, and it's also cool that you can bring it to different areas, because there's a lot of people that can't make it to an Auckland studio.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying with Off the Wire, all of those comedians had that connection because all they were doing was touring the country, and it's such an important part of comedy is staying in touch with everyone around the country.
Yeah. And
it's such a great way of doing it with the 7 Days tour.
Yeah. And then I read somewhere that you actually made the 7 Days pilot at your own cost. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yeah, there was a couple of pilots. So we made one at our own cost at the Classic, and that didn't go anywhere, annoyingly. But we just kept pushing because we knew that it was a good... it worked overseas, right?
Yeah.
We knew it was funny. We knew these comedians were great. We knew the format was great. So eventually what happened, there was probably a good 1.5 to 2 years after we'd made that initial pilot and shopped it around.
Yeah.
Somebody from TV3 came to us and said, "We want to do a show that has, that we can push some of our talent into and take them off from being presenters and show them in a little bit more personable light."
Yeah.
And we're like, "Well, have a look at this." And then it sort of rejuvenated it, and then we changed it and did another pilot, which was in the TV3 studios.
Right. Okay.
And that was more changed to the format that you sort of see on television today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we crafted it more into the 7 Days now.
Is that common though, to have to create your own pilot, or like would you recommend that to people?
Sizzle reels is a big thing,
right?
Which is like little a tonal taster or a visual taster of what you're proposing.
So not necessarily the full episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends again. Like if you're doing a scripted thing, if you're doing a comedy thing, if you're doing a factual thing, anything that can help people who are going to give you money an idea of what it's going to look, sound, feel like is a good thing.
Yeah.
And anything visual is always good. It's always very helpful.
Yeah. Now, what is your opinion on title sequences? This is a bit random, but I feel like, I mean, I really love title sequences. I know streaming services give you the option to skip through them, but you've got the likes of, like Game of Thrones title sequence, Lemony Snicket, Series on Unfortunate Events has a beautiful title sequence. The Morning Show has a great title sequence, very simple, but great music. I love sitting through them. But in this day and age, do you think that is sort of unnecessary? Like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, as a parent whose children now watch cartoons back to back to back to back to back to back to back because they can, skipping the title sequence is a great thing.
Oh, yes, yeah.
As a program maker, it doesn't bother me too much. I think you're right. Like those examples you gave are really, like they set the mood. They, especially like, Game of Thrones where you have that music and you're like, well, it's starting, I'm getting it, I'm getting into it. There's definitely that element there.
Yeah.
I'm so bad. I think it's my biggest weakness in creating shows or films is that I'm so bad at titles. I can never come up with good titles, and titles are so important.
Yeah.
So if you have a really great title, then definitely do it justice.
Yeah, but I mean, you can set the tone through the opening scene as well. Like in Gary of the Pacific, your 2017 film.
Sure, yeah.
Say 2017.
Very bad with dates and names.
Yeah, so I mean, that opening scene was unbelievable. That was so unexpected. You do not expect the dolphin to get fried up, but that cut to the fry pan is amazing. Very on point, and it sets the tone for the rest of the type of humour that you're going to see for the rest of the film. So it doesn't, I guess, always need the title sequence to set the tone.
You're totally right. And I think any show should do that anyway, or film. Like you especially these days, you only have a short amount of time for people to hook into whatever it is you're trying to get them to watch. But I love a great title sequence, but I also love, films or television that just have the title up and then move on as well. It's very, very much depending on what the project is, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And how long was that film in particular in production for?
Like development? Long time.
Yeah.
Ages. Yeah. It went through a lot of rewrites, a lot of different... That was something where we wrote the initial script on spec, and then the producer, Fiona Copland, read it and went, script's no good, but it's very surprising. I like that I didn't expect a lot of stuff to happen. There's something in here. There's a kernel of an idea in here. Let's keep developing. And then we developed for a long time, and did a huge number of rewrites on the script over and over and over. Yeah. But it was because Fiona was such a great producer that we managed to get it to a point where she could get it financed and made, which is still one of my most enjoyable times. Working was so much fun.
And I wanted to ask about in that film, there's the dead father of the main character sort of hangs around and is like a bad smell and just sort of annoys and gives opinions and things like that. That's very similar to the premise of your short film for the 48-hour film festival in 2010, Only Son. Yeah. Did that idea come from there?
It did. Yeah. It was kind of like a tonal comparison. Yeah. Yeah. So because we knew that it worked and there was a lot of humour to be had in that situation. So that was always part of that story. It was like a progression. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've won 2 48-hour film festivals, haven't you? So I've got the dates here somewhere. So Peril in 2006. Do you feel like if you made that now, you might not get away with some of the things that are said because it's so funny?
You might have to remind me. I don't know.
I can't remind you. I can't say that stuff on.
Oh, really? What did we say?
There was a few lines in there where you're like, whoa.
There was definitely.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I think there was definitely that. Like we wanted to do that a little bit with comedy. I think that one as well is a mockumentary, isn't it?
Yes,
so
it's a mockumentary about a badminton player.
Yeah,
played
that's
by
right.
Josh Thomson.
Because I played. We got real life story, and I played
Right.
badminton. Yeah,
It's really funny.
I'd like to watch it again. I think I hope that everything in there is defensible.
It was certainly humorous.
Yeah,
It definitely
and
makes
I
you
think
laugh
that
out loud.
mockumentary
It's very
aspect,
good.
that kind of, writing that line, probably came from The Office,
Yeah.
for example.
So, yeah.
So that was probably, and those short radio plays that I was talking about, that we did hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 of those short things, and a lot of them were mockumentary. So it was very much in our pocket.
Yeah.
That was kind of what we were at, where we were well practiced at. So that's kind of how that initial one came around.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'll put the link in it is online. You can find it.
Not if it's going to get me in trouble.
No, it's good. It's good. People definitely need to watch it. But in 2010, Only Son, you won again with that one. And then you put it into the Qantas Film and Television Awards, and it won Best Short and Best Screenplay. The first time a 48-hour film had won in Qantas Film and TV Awards. I mean, that's unbelievable, because for anyone who doesn't know what 48-hour film is, you only get 48 hours to create this, and you get told what genre, and you've got a whole lot of other limitations as well that you get told you have to put in there.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, did that help with your, I don't know, fast decision making and sort of creativity?
Yeah, definitely. I think you mean doing the 48 hours? Did that help?
The success of the 48-hour.
I think what it did, those radio things, they were weekly, they were daily,
Right.
and so we were doing them week to week to week. So we got to a point where we could write pretty good comedy,
Yeah.
and kind of okay story quite quickly, and turn that around quickly, and that we could move that into the 48-hour setup, where we managed to. A lot of things kind of need to come together at the same time to create something, that does go on to win the award. Like, that was quite unbelievable to us.
Yeah.
It was amazing and an incredible moment. But it was just a progression of everything that we had been doing up until that time. And I wouldn't say writing something fast is a skill you really need to work on, to be successful. Writing something good is probably better than writing something fast. Having said that, you always have time limitations when you're creating something.
Yeah.
So when we did all those 48-hour films and then moved into doing scripted television, that was definitely a massive help for us.
Yeah.
It was all just working that muscle, getting experience.
Yeah. And Josh Thomson, I know him. I mean, was always familiar to me because he was on the cash converter ads back in the day,
Yes.
which were quite different. I guess there wasn't a lot of that type of ad going on at the time. It's very much like sort of Tina from Turner's nowadays.
Yeah, sure.
So Josh Thomson, but he is no longer on cash converters ads. He's on everything. So what's your relationship with Josh Thomson?
Oh, he's one of my best friends.
Yeah?
Yeah, he has been for years. So the radio plays that I keep bringing up, that was where we first met him.
Right, okay.
He was on one of those and was just so good that he quickly became the main character. So we changed it. So his character would be on it the most, because I think he's one of the best comedic actors in the world. But also he is a really great actor. He doesn't often get dramatic roles just because he's so funny.
Yeah.
But he immediately became somebody who we really connected with when we were doing those radio shows. And then just because, you want to work with great people and people who you kind of understand and can write for.
Yeah.
That's how that kind of progressed.
Yeah.
For a long time there, he was actually in the office with us every day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Working. Yeah.
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 I mean, he also, I think he directed one of your shows, Bigger, Better, Faster, Stronger. Is that what it's
He
called?
actually directs a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really, he's annoyingly good at a lot of things. But he'll let you know about that too. But yeah, he directed a number of our things as well.
Yes.
Yeah. As well as sort of starring in them. But Bigger, Better, Faster, Stronger was a comedy science format that we created, and very much up Josh's alley.
Yeah.
He likes to tell everyone that he grew up on a farm and knows how to do a whole lot of things because of that. I think it makes him feel like he's a man of the people. But this show, Bigger, Better, Faster, Stronger, the main point behind it was that groups of teams, two teams, get given a daily chore that they have to make bigger, better, faster and stronger. So it might be vacuuming or it might be putting out the rubbish.
Yes.
And they both had big sheds, a lot of equipment, and they had to create machines or something that would help them do this boring daily chore in a much quicker, easier, faster way.
Yeah.
And that is very much Josh.
Yeah.
So he was a perfect person to direct that. It was a big show.
It was a great show. I watched an episode recently on NZ On Screen, which has a lot of archived New Zealand shows, and I didn't recognise it from the thumbnail. But then once I was watching it, I was like, I remember this show. I used to watch this. It's a real family friendly show, so it's a sort of like the show you watch with your parents and everything, and. Yeah, this Paul Ego is the narrator.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and on this particular episode that they had on NZ On Screen, there was Sir Peter Beck before he was a Sir.
Yeah.
So as one of our, our regular old homemade rocket scientists.
He literally made a rocket for the show.
He did literally make a rocket.
Yeah, so that one was collecting the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he used a rocket.
Yeah, it's
shot the rocket into the house.
But how do you go about finding all these people for these shows?
It's just the research that you do. You do hire researchers as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
To basically focus on casting is a big thing for shows like that. And so finding all of those people, talking to those people, it's a very specific skill, and a lot of people are good at it. So you'll hire researchers or you'll do your own research. But yeah, it's just digging around and trying to see what pops up.
Is it the same for when you've got a show where you interview a lot of kids? It's My Favourite Dead Person, again with Josh Thomson, sketch comedy series. You can watch it now on TV NZ On Demand, and there's a lot of conversations with children about dead people that have a really fantastic history or an interesting history. How do you go about finding these kids that want to be on this show?
That we go to schools. And that's also, by the way, on Neon.
Oh, yes.
And RNZ.
Oh, there you go.
If you'd like to watch it. And Kidogo on YouTube. So there's many places you can watch it. There's 3 seasons now. And so what we do is we go to schools and go into first ask the school if there are a year group who would be keen to do it. And then we essentially send in a researcher or production manager who talks and films on their phone to all of the kids who are keen to take part. And then through that process, we have a look at each of them, we get recommendations, and then we group them all together.
Right, okay. Yeah. So it's quite a process.
Quite a big process, because you want kids who want to be on television, first of all, but then also who feel comfortable in that and have an interesting way of thinking or putting things or talking. So it's also really good because you get an insight. It's not just your actor kid, who is really bright and chirpy. It could be a quiet kid who is just really thinks of things from a completely different way than everyone else. Yeah. So doing that process is really fun because you get to see the range of kids and people that you can include in the show.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk to you also about Hounds, your comedy from 2012. Now, this is another one that I used to watch back in the day, and you can find an episode of it on NZ On Screen as well. But my my question was, there was only one season, and I thought it was so good, I sort of felt like there should be more.
I felt like there should be more too. It was great. I love that show. Yeah, it won the Best Comedy Award as well.
Yeah, it was very well received.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I was
absolutely.
confused by there being no second season.
That was, I think, at a period, one of the many periods when TV3 had financial troubles, possibly went through a change of ownership.
Right.
So there were a few shows on at that stage that kind of suffered from that. It probably also didn't rate great because it was on a Friday night, I think relatively late. So those two things, I think, sort of meant that it never came back.
Yeah.
It was more, especially in 2012, it was more focused on ratings than critical acclaim. So it could have been that. But I think there was Super City, Madeline Sami's show, which was great as well. Right. They had 2 seasons, and I think our Hounds and the second season of that came out, and then they both, I think because of the financial troubles, they both kind of ended after that.
And how did the ratings actually work? I don't really, because when you're streaming something, I understand how they have that data. They know when you're streaming something. But when I'm watching something on TV, old school TV, how do they know that I'm watching it?
It's not you. They don't know you.
Right.
There are boxes that go onto people's televisions, and they know that they have the box, and they represent a cross section of New Zealand. Yeah. And whenever they go in to watch a show or whatever, they log in as themselves, and then it charts what they're watching and for how long they're watching.
So it's not everyone.
It's not everyone. No. If you're watching on demand and you've got a login, they know obviously what you're watching, how long you're watching, but they also don't know who's watching. So if it's my login at my house, but my kid's watching on my login, they could be going, "What's this man doing watching this Bluey?" Yeah. But so they can't. They don't know the demos in that regard. Yeah. But they know how many people are watching each show and for how long.
Yeah, but only from a small data set, right? If it's not everyone.
Well, if it's on demand, I mean that's their whole focus for subscription or on demand is just to grow that user base as much as possible. Yeah, and they do that by going, oh, it looks like heaps of people are watching Matatini. Maybe we should do more stuff like that.
Yeah. And then now I really wanted to watch one of your shows, one of your documentaries, Scribe, Return of the Crusader. And I couldn't find it, and I asked you where it was. I couldn't find it on NZ On Screen. I couldn't find it on TV NZ On Demand or anywhere. And I had it was out in 2021, and I missed it then, but now that I know about it, I really want to watch it. I did like Scribe a lot when I was a teenager. Used to listen to him on repeat, so I really want to watch this documentary. I can't find it anywhere. Why is that?
It's because of the music.
Yeah?
Yeah, so obviously it's a documentary about a musician. Yeah. And to include all of his music in the production, you have to pay for the rights, essentially, to use it. And you pay for a certain duration. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can pay in perpetuity, which is a heap of money, especially for somebody like Scribe, whose music is really popular and therefore really expensive. Or you can choose terms like 5 years or 3 years. And so that one was 3 years license. So yeah, it came up at the end of last year. And then what can happen at that point is the broadcaster can go, we're really keen to keep this on for another 3 years or 5 years. How much for us to do that? Yeah. And then you have to pay that music license fee again. I see. Usually, it's done what it needs to do in that first kind of run, so they don't do it. I can't think of many examples where they would stump up more money to do it again.
So it's just gone now forever?
No, well, yeah, essentially, unless somebody wants to pay for the music rights again.
Yeah. What about in the old days when you'd have something go to DVD? Would it just not have gone to DVD unless you paid an extra fee for that to happen?
You would have paid for the rights and cleared the rights beforehand. Okay. Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, you've also got Hip Hop Stand Up, which is another really great series. They're 10-minute episodes. This is a Radio New Zealand show. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about that one.
Yeah, that came about just because of our love of music and New Zealand music. I mean, we did a show called Pop Goes the Weasel, which started in radio and moved to television. It was a music quiz show. So we took the model of Off the Wire in 7 days of a news quiz show, and we made it a music quiz show, and we did hundreds of episodes of this show on radio and then 3 seasons of it on television. And that was just working with New Zealand musicians who were great, and we loved it so much. And we knew from that that there were just so many amazing stories based around New Zealand music, their lives, how songs are made, all of that. All of that is just so fertile. And again, it hasn't been told a lot. I think probably a little bit more these days that people have kind of come around to it. But we realised that we were coming up to the 30th anniversary of New Zealand hip hop. Essentially, was the release of E2, which is kind of like New Zealand's first hip hop song, regarded. And so we put together the idea of doing this series of showcasing essentially the history of New Zealand hip hop by talking to various artists about one important New Zealand hip hop song, to give you an idea, like an encyclopedia essentially, of New Zealand hip hop throughout those 30 years. So we would choose artists from the beginning all the way up to current artists when the series was released. And it just, over the 3 seasons that we did, it just surprised me every single time how much emotion there was tied up with these artists in their songs, in their work, in their art. And I think that's what made it so good, is that these, in the last season, we did a song by Lost Tribe, and we brought them all together. So we flew them. Some of them are living in the islands, some of them are living in Australia. We flew them all, and they met up again in Auckland, and they didn't realise that they were all going to do that. And we got that on camera, and they were just so grateful for being able to tell their story and relive that moment. That made you realise, how much people put into it. It's not just their job; it's their passion, and that I think that the series does a really good job of showcasing that.
Yeah, it was amazing, and because they're 10 minutes long, it's so digestible and very addictive once you start. I couldn't find season 1 on YouTube, but season 2 and season 3 RNZ has on YouTube. And,
that's right. Season 1. Music rights.
Music rights?
Music rights.
No.
We're talking about it.
But yeah, it was so good. And yeah, because most of the songs you're familiar with because they're quite big songs. And then there's the odd song you don't know. But then, I went onto Spotify and created my own playlist from it. And yeah, it was so good. Yeah. So good.
That's right. So those songs that you don't know, they're often songs that are hugely influential in hip-hop. In New Zealand hip hop, that they're the songs that a lot of artists now would or previously would go. That was that was the one that kept me on.
Yeah, it was a great show. Really, really cool. And then I'm sure that there are some ideas that you've had for shows that maybe haven't gone anywhere. Do you feel like you need to have a thick skin in this industry?
Yeah.
What would be your advice on dealing with rejection?
Oh, yeah, that's the majority of the job is rejection.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest thing is just learning how to deal with the word no, because it's just constant all the time. Yeah. It's very, very rare that you will get interest. And even if you get interest, you'll probably end up hearing no eventually. So I don't know if it's a thick skin. It's more like an understanding of what the other person needs, where they're coming from. So it's not. It's more knowing that they're not saying no to you or your idea. They're saying no to the circumstance where they are at that point in time. Yeah. But yeah, you definitely need to get used to hearing that a lot.
And if I have a great idea, what do I need to do with it? If I'm, new to the industry and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, what are the steps there?
Well, it depends on the idea. But generally, if you're brand new to the industry, go to somebody who isn't new and work on it with them. And don't be scared that they're going to steal your idea and run away and make millions, because that just does not happen. The making millions does not happen. They won't steal your idea. Just I think you'll need to take that idea, get somebody who will help make it great, and learn from them before you can do it again and again and again. But, there's so much you need to know before you just go and make your idea. I mean, there are certain things that you can do, like make something and put it on YouTube and keep doing that over and over and over and over. That is something you can do as well. Yeah. But I think if you really want to get good at it, you should probably learn from people who have been doing it or know what they're doing as well. From a business perspective.
Yeah. And what are the biggest lessons you've learned as a producer?
Biggest lessons. So I think I think learning about the business is a really big one. Like understanding how a budget works, understanding where the finance comes from, and then understanding the industry, understanding what people want and why they want it. It's very hard to understand what people watch. I think we probably all have that example of a show being on and going, why is this so popular? I don't get it. But if you can learn what people want and how that relates to you, how you can make a great show or film based on what the industry is talking about. I think that is probably something that I've learned over a long time, because otherwise, you come into it and go, I've got a great idea, and I think it's a great idea, and it probably is a great idea, but there's just nowhere for that idea to go, or that idea won't make money as a film, and it just makes your path so much harder to get that idea made because nobody else wants it, because you don't understand what the industry is looking for, or what that channel is focused on, or who that film appeals to, or who will go and see that film, So I think getting an understanding of that is really important as you're creating ideas and developing ideas.
Yeah. And I mean, that's similar. I mean, we both know Raymond McGrath, who is the creator of Big Little Blue, which is now called Bigsies and Littles.
The TV series is called Bigsies and Littles.
Bigsies and Littles. Yeah. Do you have an air date for that? We've talked about it a lot on this podcast with a few different guests. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. We don't have an air date yet. It will be the end of 2025. Yeah. We're just putting the finishing touches on it, actually.
Yeah, and then so, I mean, when talking to Ray, he was saying that he had this great idea and he sort of came across or got introduced to Nigel from the Downlow Concept. How does that, I mean, what's your version of that story?
Yeah, he definitely got introduced to me. Of how that came about, you mean?
Well, yeah, because you were just talking about, go and find someone who knows what to do with your idea. So, I mean,
yeah, right.
What was this idea to you?
Yeah, no, that's probably a good example. He had written books already.
Yes, yeah.
He's an animator, so he had created a lot of animation. And he's a really good writer. He'd written some scripts. And so he brought that to me, and I had a look at it and really loved it. I'd never done animation before, so it's my first animated project. Yeah. But because the idea was so good and he'd executed it so well, I was immediately drawn to it. So I thought it was definitely something I wanted to be a part of. But he had tried to take it to market originally, kind of got a few nibbles, but eventually ended up not going anywhere. And so from my perspective at that point, I was bringing in the knowledge of how everything was working in New Zealand at that time for financing and stuff. And so that was where we kind of combined. I corralled all the stuff that he had created and sort of put it into a package and figured out a way that we could get distribution in New Zealand and then make a good case for getting the finance for it, with a plan that's still ongoing to hopefully push it internationally as well.
Yeah.
And so all of that stuff impacts the creative in various ways, and also impacts the way we get the money as well. So that was kind of how that one pieced together. It was at a time as well, which is still ongoing, that kids television isn't really wanted by any broadcasters or streamers. It's in a really tough space at the moment worldwide. So it was thinking about that as well, and trying to figure out the best way of making it a viable project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Him and the animators are working on it as well. Yeah. Really talented, and an interesting way of setting it up, rather than going to an animation studio. It's very much driven from Raymond's vision, and getting animators, to work on it in his way rather than a traditional sort of animation studio setup. Yeah, which is great from my perspective as well, because it gives me an insight into how the animation world works.
Yeah, and then when you have a show, let's say that, Bigsies and Littles, which might have lots of voice actors, or a show that that might need a director or something like that, and you've got all these creative partnerships and all these people you've known for a long time who might think, oh, I've got that in the bag because I know the Download Concept guys, I know Nigel. Is that something you've had to deal with a little bit, and maybe that they might think that they've gotten in, but it's not quite the right role for them? Like, how do you sort of deal with that?
Sometimes, it doesn't happen often. I don't think anyone expects to be given a job, but every now and again you have to go in a different direction, and you just have to be upfront and explain why. It's not a nice thing to do, or to have to do, but it does happen every now and again. Yeah.
Got to maintain those relationships,
I
suppose.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think when we work with people, we work with them because we like them, because they're good people, because otherwise it's just an absolute nightmare. If you're not working with people that you get on with and who are nice people, then it can make the whole process really difficult.
Are there a lot of jerks in the industry?
No.
No?
Not that I've come across.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, we're very small.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard to be a jerk.
Yeah, you know everybody.
Because everyone knows you. No, I think there's a lot of passion, and there is a lot of disagreements about how things should progress, especially at the moment with so much change. But no one's really a jerk. No one will steal your idea.
That's good.
Yeah.
I imagine that's probably something that young people especially have a little bit of concern about. They've come up with something great, hold it close to your chest. Yeah,
lots of people have that concern. That's why I say it. Everyone thinks, I don't know, they might have heard a story from Hollywood 50 years ago where so-and-so had this idea and it turned up here, but you can't really. Yeah. Yeah. It won't happen.
Yeah. Now, you had a music video that you created, Headlights, in 2009, and it was banned by TVNZ.
Yes.
Was that quite scary or exciting, that kind of controversy?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
we talked it up so it would get more press.
More press.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was banned because at that time, it's a while ago now, but I think from memory it was banned because there was no outlet for music videos. There wasn't like a music video show, and I think they might have had the channel that played music videos and they canned it, something like that. So TVNZ didn't really have outlets, so the way they played music videos was just randomly in between shows every now and again. And because they couldn't program it, they couldn't go, this music video here, they just had music videos this is a library and it'll get stuck into these places here, here, and here.
Yeah.
It meant that music videos could end up in between kids' shows in the morning or something.
Right.
And so they were like, well, we can't put this one in because of, I suppose, because it showed kids acting in a potentially in a party manner.
Yes. So kids were drinking milk as if it was booze.
Yeah, it
basically.
was the night was set up as if they were having a massive party.
Going to nightclubs.
Yeah.
And
they were eating lollies.
getting high on lollies.
Yeah.
And getting drunk on milk.
Yeah, that's right.
It was great. It was so good.
Yeah. So I think probably just for that reason, that's why it was banned.
Yeah.
But then we were like, yes, this is great.
Yeah,
Let's get a
because
little
it won an award afterwards, didn't it?
Yeah, won a few awards, yeah.
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 Oh, it's so good. So would you say that there's more in store that you're excited about for the future in television, other than maybe reality TV, which seems to be quite big at the moment?
Yeah, totally. I think for producers and writers, there's heaps of opportunity.
Yeah.
It's great. We've got projects in film and television that are in development and keep moving.
Yeah.
That would be some of the, I think, most enjoyable things that I will do to date.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point. If it wasn't going to be that, then I would have stopped a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's been tough, I think, in the last few years because of the economics of everything, because of the way technology is changing so quickly, because of the way social media has become such a big part of our lives. It's been hard for the types of shows that we have traditionally made. And it also creates a lot of questions for yourself. Short form content is really popular, but is it something I want to do? And if it is something I want to do, how do I want to do it? Those short form serials, the Chinese ones, have you seen those? These are really massively popular at the moment, and they're very high emotion soaps, essentially, told over 2 minutes. And they've become really popular to the point where businesses who make them are now getting valued at $1 billion.
Wow, 2 minutes.
Yeah, and there's like 50 of them.
Wow.
So you just get hooked.
Yeah.
And then if you want to watch more, you start paying money.
Right.
That is not something I'd like to make, but I'd like to make something in that style. The content of what they're doing isn't what I'd like to do, but I really like the idea of that form and how, especially, coming from comedy, it feels like something that you could do something really interesting with. So I think probably that's kind of the approach for me anyway that makes me excited, is not going, I'll never do that, but trying to find a way in where it's a project that I'd like to work on and try and crack.
Yeah. And what's a project that's been the most fun thus far in your career?
They're all really good. It's I really love the process of the projects.
Yeah.
The whole process. I love coming up with them. I like the ideating. I like the development. I like the production when you see it coming to life. But then I love the edit, because that's when you can create and craft it as well.
Yeah.
So again, throughout the whole process, I always have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why do it? But I suppose there are moments like, for example, shooting Gary of the Pacific when we were in Rarotonga. We were a film unit, like we were a crew, and we were all staying in the same place, and it was an amazing fun time.
Yeah.
Shooting Hounds or Cover Band, going out to set on Bigger, Better, Faster, Stronger.
Yeah.
Hounds, for example, when we made Hounds, I edited that at my house with Josh.
Oh, wow.
So we both we had a couple of months together at my house editing. That was great fun.
Yeah.
Alien Weaponry Ko Tuputiara is a film that we just released.
Yeah.
That was an amazing moment because it got its world premiere at Tribeca, the film festival, Tribeca Film Festival in New York. So we got to go there and have the premiere there.
Yeah.
So there are all of these elements and aspects from each project that are all enjoyable. So you'll be able to see that. You can stream it now.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And what advice would you have for anyone wanting to start their own production company?
I've probably kind of mentioned it. Is like, I think if you're starting a production company, learn how to be a producer.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid of the business. Learn about budgets. Learn about running a business, like production company or selling products. Just learn how a business runs in the best way. Maybe find a business mentor.
Yeah.
Who might be able to help you out every now and again. That's purely functional. Learn the industry, understand the industry. So, meet with the people, if you're making television, meet with the people who are at the broadcasters and talk to them about what their channel does, who they think they are, who they appeal to, the type of projects that they're interested in. Learn how, if you're in film, learn what films are popular, what sales agents and distributors are looking for, because they know the industry. Talk to other film producers.
Yeah.
Reach out to the industry as well, especially if you're just starting, and ask them, because we have a lot of knowledge about what's happening at the moment as well, and then develop lots.
Yeah.
Keep going. Don't just go, I've got this one great idea. Once this gets made, it'll sell all over the world. I'll be a millionaire. Done.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. Like,
yeah,
you'd be very lucky if that
happens. Got to have more than
happens.
one great idea.
Constant develop. Yeah. In New Zealand. Oh, and the other thing is kind of find your voice or your passion, because you don't become a producer to get rich or to get famous. If you think you're going to get famous, you're going to figure out what type of shows you want to make or why you want to make them, I think. Because you spend so long getting told no that when you get told yes, you're making that show, then you're with that show for a long time.
Yeah.
And if it's the one that you came up with because it's going to get you money, that's fine, that's good. But if you're going to make it good, you're going to have a reason for doing that show, because if you don't make it good, then you're not going to get it again. Yeah. And then you're back to square one. So it's... Yeah.
And would you recommend, if someone was going to start up a company, to do it with your mates, or are there any warnings there about how to make sure you all get along?
Yeah, no, I think it just depends, really. Yeah. I think, it's really great starting up with your mates because you're all going through it together. Yeah. And you have... What was really great for us is that we were writers, and writing is quite lonely most of the time. So we had people around us and we could bounce off each other. It's the same with producing. It's the same with creating. We were all working towards that same thing. But then, so it really depends on the people. Yeah. But in other ways, like financially, it's much harder to support that many people. Yeah. And also, if you're not wanting the same thing, then it will become impossible. It's probably good, if you do it, it's probably good to just figure out, what your aims are and what your goals are. And it's probably also good if one of you was the producer and one of you was the creative or something like that. if you figured out those roles, so you don't kind of get to a point where we got to where we were all in on this one project, and then came out the back and went, now we've got nothing. What do we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what other funding bodies are there outside of New Zealand On Air for people wanting to get things made?
Oh, so New Zealand On Air is primarily television and online stuff, and that their remit is New Zealand culture, New Zealand stories for New Zealanders. So it's very inward looking. The New Zealand Film Commission, mainly films, so documentary films, scripted films. They also handle the rebate, and they're a little bit more outward looking, taking New Zealand stories and films to the world, to international audiences, also obviously in New Zealand, but they're probably a little bit more commercially minded in some respects.
Yeah.
Te Mangai Pāho is the multi-language funding body, so their main focus is building te reo Māori in Aotearoa. And so all of the projects that they fund have that outcome. It needs to incorporate te reo Māori in some way. And there are, Creative New Zealand, probably less in the screen industry, but more sort of theatre and arts focused. But definitely worth looking at, depending on what type of things you're thinking of doing. For example, an interesting idea would be to create a theatre show that you could then transition into a short film or transition into a TV show. So that could be something to consider. And then apart from those ones, there are probably more specific, focused little pockets which aren't really helpful unless you're right in the zone. So like a science-based fund, for example, which needs to support scientific research in some way. So there are things like that, but they're probably much harder to access if you don't really have the skills or knowledge. Yeah.
And then to be independently funded, you just need to know some people with the cash, don't you?
Real hard and really hard in New Zealand. That's how the American film model runs.
Oh, yeah?
Especially the indie film model is rich investors, angel investors who want to be in the industry. It still baffles me how that works. But here it's very limited. Yeah.
And finally, Nigel, what is the best part of your job?
Best part of my job? My job is very much a part of who I am. And if I wasn't doing it, I think I'd be very unhappy, because it's me expressing myself constantly. I really love working on new projects, on old projects, on anything where maybe it's the creation of it, it's the realization of it perhaps, and then being able to work on a variety of things. We do so many different things now. I find that very stimulating, because I'm also working with a variety of different people with a variety of different skills. So it's quite a communal job in that respect, even though a lot of it is me by myself. So there are, I think, seeing an idea from the seed, which as a producer I will often have that seed of an idea, and seeing that through to completion it's really satisfying, because it includes a lot of skills that I've tried to develop over the years, from writing or directing through to budgeting and getting finance, like figuring out that part of the pie and all of that coming together to create something that hopefully then can connect with an audience. I think it's kind of the whole process rather than the one. I really love editing. It's that whole package, just because it is so much of who I am, I think.
Oh, it's very inspiring to meet someone who's so passionate about their job.
Oh, good.
And it's great that you and your mates got to get together and just do what you love doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, I'm really, really blessed in that respect. There hasn't been a day where I've gone to work and gone, I can't be bothered working today, just because I just love it so much.
Oh, that's nice. Well, Nigel, I'm going to put some links in the show notes to some of the shows that we've talked about. And I've also got a few extra on my list now that I need to watch. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming in and chatting to me about them.
That was great. Great fun.
No worries. Thanks so much.
Thank you.